Hi there. Today I'm getting into a risk area. I'm a little nervous because I am taking a risk. I shall be talking on something which could be controversial, but stay on with me until the end. I respect everybody, and there is nothing about any criticism or any malice. I'm talking about a change which is necessary in our education system. And that has to be a comprehensive change. I'm not talking about changing the textbooks. I'm not talking about changing the syllabus. I'm talking about changing the whole culture. And especially in that culture, one particular area which I want to touch is the present scenario of teaching. I call it a small t. This teaching, in the modern context, I find, has become a little too professional than it used to be in the ancient education system. The accountability factor is missing because the culture needs to change, the basic attitude and practice of the teaching faculties needs to change. What is teaching? Teaching today is imparting education, and education is primarily about the brain. Education is primarily about raising the level, intellectual level of the participant, of the students, of the pupils. And if you want to do that, then you just got to inform them. It's transmission of information. So teaching in today's context is tantamount to transmission of information from books to there. And I'm a medium. And what's written in the book has been performed by someone firsthand. So eventually, as a teacher, I am conveying a second-hand information. It is not first-hand for the students. And any second-hand information has got second-hand value, just like your second-hand car has a second-hand value. But this has not been the perspective of education in the ancient time. We have reduced it in this information technology to just transmitting information. And information is about the brain, about storing information inside your head, in memorizing, in cramming, and then getting into examination. And if you cram very well, if you are a little more interested than the rest of your friends in facts and figures and all those things, then you score good marks. And if you score good marks, you get better opportunities. The whole society is being transferred only to the academic brilliance. No wonder we are in a country which is still developing. In a developed country, we cannot ignore others who are not academically intelligent or academically brilliant, because brilliance is not limited to only academics. A country becomes strong if all the areas, in all the faculties, you find brilliant people. So that's why I always keep asking in my seminars, what is the headquarter of success? And most of the people show their brain. I said, unfortunately, that's not the headquarter of success. The real success headquarter is here. How much of passion you have, how much of energy you have, how much of confidence you have, what is the level of your determination? Is your purpose very clear? Are your goals clear? Are you committed, or you are just involved? These are the questions we need to ask today. So that small t of teaching, which deals with transmission of information, needs a transformation there itself. And how it is possible? It will be possible if you transform the small t into capital T, and the capital T stands for training. From teaching to training. What is the difference, you ask? Okay, let me give you an example. It's a little funny example, but nevertheless, this will perhaps drive home the point that I want to make. This is about a guy who is to be sitting near a swimming pool and enjoy swimming done by others. And he used to have a lot of beer, sit beside the swimming pool because he had a lot of money and used to spend those money, and look at those people swim, and he used to enjoy. After a little while, after a couple of months, he got bored and he thought, hey, what am I doing sitting down here? I will enjoy more if I could go there and swim with those people. But he was afraid of water. He had never been to the water. He never learned swimming. So the very idea of getting into the water and jumping into the water frightened him. But in his heart of hearts, he needed to swim. He wanted to swim. So he had a brilliant idea because he was rich. One day he drives into the local bookstores and tells a book owner, give me all the books you have in swimming. And he got all the books and locked himself in the room and quickly studied these books over a period of 6 months and knew everything about swimming. There was nothing in the world of swimming that he didn't know. And now he was equipped to just get down to the water and start swimming. But what happens once someone pushes him to the water? Did he go horizontal or did he go vertical? Of course, vertical. Thank God 15 people with a piece of rope brought him out and he saved his life. This guy never learned swimming by reading those books. Alternatively, if he came to me, I am not a teacher, but I am a trainer. I told him to be flat on my arms. And then I took him into the water and asked him to throw his legs and hands vigorously. I kept on insisting him to do it for the next 10 days. And slowly, I take him in. And one fine morning, as he was doing that, I took my hands off. And there he was. He was floating. He learned it right. Will he forget it? He will not. Because it has gone inside his DNA. What is the difference? Was it a second hand or a first hand? It was a first hand. And that was education. I love playing with words. That was an education, a small e, and this was an exposure, a capital E. He was directly exposed to the situation, I say. Life is the greatest teacher. So that water in that lake was the greatest teacher. Moment he came in contact with the water taught him how to float. There's an old story which goes like this. Once a lot of people was traveling in a boat. There was a small boy also. Suddenly the small boy falls into the water. Everyone looks at each other. Come on, save him. Come on, save him. Nobody was jumping into the water. Mother had nobody except the son. Mother was restless and she couldn't think of life without her son. She closed her eyes, she prayed. She imagined in her mind how to swim. She has seen a lot of people swimming. She said, swimming is nothing but throwing hands and feet vigorously into the water. I got to save my son. So she closed her eyes, prayed, gathered the energy, jumped into the water, and then started vigorously throwing her hands and feet. And at that moment, the water in that river taught her how to swim. She saved her son. That's first-hand learning. That's training. And once you transform yourself from small t to capital T, your whole communication is going to change. You will not impart from the books. And you will not force your student to memorize from the books and cram and sit in the examinations. Neither your students will be more inspired about the books than they are inspired to be in your company. You are in intimate connections with your students, like our old teachers used to be. They were trainers. They used to teach through their heart, first hand. Rabindranath Tagore, the greatest Nobel laureate and a great poet, created a school in Shantiniketan where he made students sit under the tree. Some of the students used to be on the tree in the branches, and he never told them anything because he believed, and he had never been to school himself. He always ran away from the school. He learned from nature. And he used to say, more you take students away from nature, they have become machines today, money-making machines. Education has gone for a toss. Their development has gone for a toss. They're all money mongers. They're all defined success in the form of wealth and money and prosperity and the material things that they have gained through their lives. The real purpose of education is lost. You want to save the world? You want to make your country strong? You want to make your society more prosperous, more happy, more fulfilled? Then look at the capital T. We need trainers. All teachers need to be transformed as a trainer. They got to be role model rather than professional speakers who teach from the syllabus and follow up with the students how much they have learned from the books. It is not those books that will make them successful. It is the development rather than education that we need. So I want all educations to be redefined as developmental schools rather than academic schools. And once that happens, once we give emphasis to practical learning, first-hand learning, direct interaction with nature, learning from life, unless we do that, we'll not be able to make a stronger society. We'll not be able to make a generation that follow, enriched, empowered, and we won't be able to make it a developed country ever. So, my point today is transformation from small t to capital T, from teaching to training. And in order to do that, we have to change ourselves as teachers. We got to set examples. Rabindranath Tagore used to say, intimacy between the teacher and the student. I remember in my childhood, I had such wonderful teachers who used to take so much of care. They even used to know us by our nicknames, our home names. They used to sometimes invite us to their house and we used to eat with those teachers. And some of the teachers used to get very upset when we were sick. Some of them came to our home to check up how we are. That is the relationship. That is the intimacy the teachers need to have with the students. Because people learn less from the books. People learn less from the second-hand mediums. People learn more by seeing. It is the visual which has a more impact than any other things. If they are not impressed by the teacher, they will not learn enough from the books. On the contrary, if they are impressed by the teacher, they will learn both from the books and from the teacher. And when the teachers get transformed as a trainer, the laurels are very high. This young boy or this young student who learned from that teacher, when that student becomes a gentleman, he will look back and feel grateful to that teacher who was a role model, because they didn't read the books, they didn't learn so much from the books as much as they did from the teacher by looking at his or her discipline, personality, communication, attitudes. So we need a transformation from small t to capital T, from teacher to trainer. The purpose of development is not only to do with intellectual development of the student. It is about overall development of the students. It's not only the development of brain, it is the development of the brain, heart, everything. And what is development has been aptly explained by Rabindranath Tagore in his poetry. Where the mind is without fear, where the head is held high, where the knowledge is free, Mind is without fear. The modern education, the modern teaching system, is it not inculcating fear in the students? Fear for examination, fear of failure. All the time there is a threat. That is an example of it's not a total development. We are diminishing their energy. We are carving their energy. We are mitigating the power which they hold inside. We are only making them compete and score good marks in the examination. That's not real education. So here we are. When we are talking about transforming small t to capital T, from teaching to training, we are trying to say the mind should be without fear. And that's why Tagore spoke of intimacy. Today there is a distance. The student is afraid of approaching their teacher. The teacher is so important, they keep distance with the students. In the process, the whole scenario has become so stuffy, so uncomfortable. There is all the time some pressure. The whole system has to change to create a breathing space for our students. So the mind is without fear. The head is held high. How the head will be held high? If there will be pressure on the head will bow down. The head will not be high. And finally, where the knowledge is free, it is all bonded through a stern syllabus, and the teacher only equips the student, prepares them to follow the syllabus. The knowledge is not free here. So we look forward to seeing a world of training, the capital T, where the mind is without fear, the head is held high, where the knowledge is free. As it is beautifully said by Mark Twain, one of the greatest industrialist and entrepreneur and a philosopher all at once, who had said, there is nothing training cannot do. It can change bad morals into good. It can make ordinary men into real angels. And I love saying, in my own way, one good training is equivalent to reading 100 books. I want to repeat this. One good training is equivalent to reading 100 books. So come, let us step away from that bookish world. Let us enter into the zone of real education, exposure-based education. Let us step away from that limited domain of teaching and enter into the world training to empower the next generation to create a more enriched, developed, and happy society. Thank you very much for being with me. More next time.